If there's one thing we like here at Londonist, it's going inside, underground, down into a new tunnel. And whilst a lot of attention is on Crossrail at the moment, the big construction project taking place in London, don't forget that here, down in Battersea and Nine Elms, there's a new bit of the underground and an extension to the Northern Line coming to London.
And here's how it will look on the tube map. The new part of the Northern Line branches out west from Kennington with 2 new stations, one at Nine Elms and then another at Battersea, right by the old power station. And then there's also the possible option of extending it further and going to Clapham Junction. But we'll come back to the map later. Leading us around the site for the day is Jonathan, who insisted that we climb up some stairs first rather than go down.
Weirdly, a trip into the tunnels below starts by coming up onto the viewing platform. What can we see, John?
This is the best place on the site to actually get an overview of the whole project. So to the west we have the Battersea station box being constructed.
So this isn't Battersea station, this is
the crossover. This is where trains in the future will be able to move from the southbound running tunnel onto either platform of Battersea and then leave from either platform onto the northbound running tunnel.
So it's worth noting that the crossover will be sort of in front of the station and not beyond it.
We've then launched our tunnelling machines from here, and this whole part of this site is for the tunnelling operation, with the muck bin, with all the segments stored for the TBM operations, and the 2 tower cranes which lift all the materials in and out.
The whole area and site of the former Battersea power station itself is being redeveloped. There's loads of other construction work taking place here, which will all be served by the new station and this new part of the Northern Line.
So we're inside the shaft here at Battersea. There were 2 TBMs, tunnel boring machines. One went in this side and headed in effect the wrong way, digging the southbound tunnel, and one went in that side, digging the northbound tunnel.
The main tunnelling started in April 2017 and will connect up at Kennington, of which the station itself is also having improvement works done to it to allow passengers an easier interchange.
Should point out, by the way, that if you're seeing these rails and these tracks down here, this is obviously a very narrow 2-foot 6 gauge. That's just for the construction locomotive to get in and out. That's not the actual rails that are on the Northern Line.
Time to go for a walk inside then, where we discover something interesting. The tunnels are being dug to a larger size than other tube tunnels in London to allow for a walkway to be built alongside the running rails. The first time that this has happened for an underground line.
So unique to this extension is we're going to have a 1 metre wide walkway alongside the train. So when the passengers are on the train in an evacuation scenario, they would be able to walk along the walkway, or the emergency services could use the walkway themselves.
We've done a handy conversion graphic for you between imperial and metric. So the old standard sized tube tunnel ring across the underground network is 11 feet 8 3/4 inches. That's 3.6 metres in diameter. This new sized tunnel ring has a 5.2 metres internal diameter at 17 feet and 1 3/4 of an inch big.
So the southbound machine is currently about 50 metres before oval. We've completed about 1,200 rings of tunnel so far. By the end of October, early November, we expect to have reached the Kennington Park shaft where the tunnel drive will stop. The northbound machine, and we're in the northbound tunnel at the moment, the tunnel boring machine's done about 1,050-60 rings, and that has just passed under the Victoria Line tunnels. And by the end of October, early November, we would have reached the Kennington Green shaft where the tunnel drive ends. So the northbound drive is actually about a couple of 100 metres shorter than the southbound drive.
Yes, the new extension connects up with the infamous Kennington loop, used at the moment to reverse southbound trains off of the Charing Cross branch to turn around and go back in service as a northbound one. When the extension is complete, the loop will still be used, except most of the trains, but not all of them, will branch off and come down the new branch towards Nine Elms and Battersea, which, by the way, goes underneath the Victoria Line by just 3 metres.
When they're in the southbound running tunnel, he's heading down to the TBM. On average, they'll do about 15 tunnel rings in one day in a 24-hour period. It's a 24-hour construction site. On their best day, when you hit no obstructions, because some days you never know what old infrastructure you're going to hit underground, they managed to do 21 tunnel rings in one 24-hour period.
Which leaves just one final question, and that of course is when is the work going to be complete, and when is the new Northern Line branch going to open?
So that's the brand new Northern Line extension, and if it all runs to time, it should be up and running with trains running from Kennington down the 2 new stops to here to Battersea in December 2020.